Hi guys, Brain here, and welcome to another commentary video. Today, I wanted to talk about kind of a question I get a lot on the stream and in the YouTube. Is like, what kind of power would you like to see come out of Dead by Daylight? What kind of power would you like to see come to a new killer in Dead by Daylight? Because often, I am very highly critical of the new powers that come out, as well as many, D&D players are very, very highly critical of the powers that come out killer to killer. And, obviously the question comes like after that is like, well, what would you want then? What is your ideal version of like what a new killer power would be? And I think it's complicated, but I want to break it down to you how I feel about new killer powers and what I would really, really enjoy to see. And it's nothing ideally specific, but I want to break it down to philosophy that I would love to have like implemented in DVD. Ideally, I want a power that is incredibly unique onto itself, only something that character does. Now, not initially, right? Like obviously we've got tons of fun killers that are derivative of each other. Huntress obviously came onto the scene, and Huntress is literally her own thing, right? Like she up until that point, you had Billy who could insta down, you had traps with Trapper, you had stealth with Wraith, and then but like those were all like at the end of the day killers that chase, hit you with your weapon, they go down. Huntress changed the game. Huntress could hit you from very far away. She was a ranged killer. There was no ranged killers in the game up until that point. She came onto the scene, she had a very, very low skill floor, very high skill ceiling, because like her power was just so simple and so unique that you could do so many things with it, but you could still, because of its uniqueness, get away with doing like not the bare minimum, but very little at the same time. She was just her own thing because ranged attacks were so unique to the game at that point. Now we have like Deathslinger and Trickster and stuff like that. But up until that point, and Artist, I would argue, also fits into that somewhat. But like up until that point, there had been no such thing as a ranged killer in Dead by Daylight. So that was actually a pretty like wild thing to just kind of like have somebody who could just hit you from afar now. It's really cool. And I think we haven't truly had something like that in Dead by Daylight in like a hot minute, right? Like most things are derivatives of each other. And like I said, that's fine. Like I enjoy playing Deathslinger. And Deathslinger is essentially a derivative of Huntress. But like I would hope for something like dramatic and new, something that would show up on the scene and literally be its own unique thing. I think like a good example of this is that like Old Freddy. Now Old Freddy was not a very good killer, but Old Freddy, they like focused more on making his power like as unique as possible. When you had to actually pull people into the dream world and in order to hit them and actually like torment the survivors, right? Like a horror movie character does. And it was very, very unique. And a lot of people that played him back then found him more fun than current Freddy because of like the uniqueness of his power and how he really stood out as his own thing. And he felt like a unique character onto himself. And that is like what I think I don't see in new killer designs. And it makes me really, really disappointed. And I think Freddy is also a great example of like standard modern killer design. When they reworked Freddy away from his weak form, even though it was really unique and fun, when they reworked him away from his unique form, they gave him very, very, there's no other way to say this. I'm going to have to censor this, but basic powers. They gave him the most generic, I'm good at Dead by Daylight powers you could give a character. They stripped away everything unique about him, gave him a map mobility option, because they know that's good, and they gave him an anti-chase option, which they know is good in the game. And I feel like that plays too much into the kind of characters that they make in Dead by Daylight nowadays. Is how are we going to give them the tools to win the game? How are we going to give them the tools to win a match of Dead by Daylight? They seem to focus way less on like making a cool and unique power, and they focus more on making something that will fit the game and make sure that this is going to be fun, but also get results. Overall, get results. Even if they make a character that's like weak, they end up not being that strong. Look at Sadako, for example. Even Sadako has passive phasing, which is technically supposed to help in chase, and she has map mobility, right? Even if she doesn't turn out being strong, she's built with the tools to be good at Dead by Daylight, right? I feel like when you start boiling characters down to try and specifically like be good at winning in the game as like the primary design focus over like, can this character be unique? Can this character do things that other characters can't? Is this something that players haven't seen in the game before? Is this something that like is its own thing and it's very, very fun? Like when you start focusing more on just giving them the tools to win a match of Dead by Daylight versus like how unique can we make them? How strange can we make them? I feel like it hurts it hurts overall. It hurts the character design, and it's why you get Knight. You get a character like Knight, and you're just like, this is just Turbo Dredge. This is just Turbo Artist, right? Like nobody cares about this character because they've made them twice, right? They're different slightly, but they've already made this character twice, so nobody cares when the Knight drops, right? Nobody cares because, like, this character already exists. And in better forms. The other two characters are stronger at the job that the Knight does. So it's just like, when you start making every character a derivative, like, it starts, like, you know, really weighing things down. And I understand, because somebody's already, like, angry typing in the comments. It's like, well, you know, that's really hard to come up with a unique concept, you know? It's like, it's really difficult, and it's easier to make a derivative. Like, I understand that. I totally understand. That's why they do it. And if you make it different enough, it can actually be really fun. Like I said earlier, Huntress and Deathslinger, I both enjoy a lot. I enjoy both those characters a lot. And, you know, Deathslinger is just a derivative of Huntress. And I feel like they're different enough that they're cool. I enjoy them. If I want to go for long shots and like trick shots, I go for Huntress. If I'm looking for more, like, you know, precision, but I don't necessarily have the range, that's a Deathslinger game, you know? Like, I can play one or either, and I enjoy both. But, like, I feel like most characters at this point, like, if you just look at the killer roster, you can see that most characters that have come out recently are derivatives of some other power that existed in the game up until this point. Artist was kind of a new archetype. She's slightly derivative of Huntress, but she is the, you know, Shift W, leave the loop character. Put something down at the loop, make them leave, or force them into a hit. And then they made that with Dredge, except Dredge was a melee version of that. He does have Nightfall, which is unique to him, but at the end of the day, his power is still put the thing at the loop, win the loop. Same thing with Knight. Knight is put the thing at the loop, win the loop. Like, there are 3 characters that came out in the last year that are, like, literally, like, derivatives of someone else that came out before. And it's just like, when you look at that, it just starts like how many times can we go back to the same well before the well runs dry? And I think for me, the well is running dry, like, very much so. I feel like for me, the well is running dry, and I want something unique that focuses more on creating a dynamic, fresh experience over perhaps something that's kind of similar to another character. That is you could make the spider killer, you can make it the werewolf killer, you can make it whatever you want. You can bring in the xenomorph, make him cool, like, but, like, make something new. Make something that, like, literally feels different from the other killers in the game, like, actually. And there's only tiny aspects I'm like, that's kind of like them. That's kind of like that other guy. And that's it. It's only slightly, vaguely similar to someone else. I want something unique. I know that's kind of like a cop-out answer because you probably want something very specific, but, like, that you asked me how I feel. So that's how I feel. I want something unique onto itself, something that is not derivative of another character. So yeah, that's kind of killer power that I want in Dead by Daylight. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video, friends. Thank you so much for watching, but I do upload daily, so I will see you tomorrow. But if I do not, well, you know, I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.